Welcome back to Movies TV Man and welcome to Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily. In a recent Superman TV spot for James Gunn's Superman says this: "You're wrong about me. I'm scared. I've always been scared." You see, there's nothing wrong with that dialogue. It's the execution of the dialogue. It's the tone of the dialogue. In that interview scene that we've seen excerpts of, when Lois Lane is asking Superman the hard questions, he's whining, he's ranting. The words aren't the problem. People were gonna die! He's shouting at a woman he's in love with. This is not some random interview with someone who doesn't care about him. She's saying these things for his own good. And the undertones of this are the undertones of New Hollywood's belief system. Gunn is trying to make Superman a straight white male, a whiny brat. These are the undertones of what he's attempted to do. How that TV spot should have been executed. You're wrong about me. I am scared. I've always been scared. But the scene should expand on Superman's fear. Imagine having the power of a god. A cuddle could kill someone. A high five could break someone's hand. Imagine living in fear that you could hurt everyday people by just touching them. And actually, Smallville at times tried to do this. There was when Clark was playing football and he accidentally breaks someone's arm or leg on the football field, which is exactly what Pa Kent warned him about, and this is why Pa Kent never wanted him to play football. But then there's times when Lois is punching him on the arm friendly, but really hard, her arm should break, right? So there's inconsistencies there, but at least Smallville tried to talk about Clark's fear of hurting people. He didn't want to make love to Lana in case he hurt her. Again, that was very well done by Smallville. So this is the problem with James Gunn. The problem with James Gunn is he only knows how to tell one type of story. He doesn't have the tools as a storyteller to do something else, or maybe he's got the tools, but he refuses to tell different types of stories. Now, I did pre-warn of these red flags when I first heard that James Gunn was making a Superman movie. And one of the major criticisms of Man of Steel is that Superman didn't speak enough. He didn't speak enough dialogue. I think one of the criticisms of James Gunn's Superman, when critics get access to this film, is that Superman is talking too much. Eyes up here. Nonsense like that. And I think, obviously, James Gunn's Superman is going to talk too much because James Gunn also talks too much. I read out a recent interview to you all where he explains the awful flying shot, that he didn't supervise it, he didn't check it before it was released. Not only is that unprofessional, but to actually admit that to the public just 2.5 weeks away from when the movie is being released is utterly problematic, right? He denied that that flying shot was some kind of ropey CGI. He said it was all shot in the frozen tundra or wherever he froze that. I forgot the name of the place where they shot the fortress sequence, right? He was adamant that it was all shot there. Now he admits that the head was placed on the body. I think James Gunn thinks it's important to seem like you're telling the truth when you're actually not telling the truth. But James Gunn's like a child caught eating the sweets that his mother doesn't want him to eat. He comes up with about 20 different explanations and scenarios, and not one of them ever being the truth. And that's the problem. He also has this tactic now of teasing more DC characters that we don't know are going to be in this film. I still believe the DCU Batman is in this movie, briefly, but we will see about that. So I think that's the issue with this TV spot, and it's going to be the issue with James Gunn's Superman. I think when we all see this film, this is what we're going to say. I loved that. I liked that. That was okay. I hated that. Oh my God, what was he thinking of? And there lies the problem, everyone. What we have here is going to be a very, very inconsistent movie. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I want this to be a great movie. I mean, you got that Blu-ray Angel geezer calling out so-called Superman haters. Well, I love Superman, but I want him to be written and directed in the right way. And we will see if that's the case. But some of these TV spots we're seeing are utterly problematic. He shouldn't be releasing that TV spot that it's got the ropey flying. He shouldn't be releasing that TV spot where Superman is ranting about always being scared. I've just given you a great example of how that should have been done. A lot of people are saying the dialogue's shit. The dialogue isn't shit. It's good for Superman to admit that he's always been scared. He's scared. And that's what it means to be human. That's what he says. I can't remember when I tried to do it for you earlier if I missed that bit off. But yeah, he says, you're wrong about me. I'm scared. I've always been scared. And that's what it means to be human. But as I said earlier, the way I would have done it was, you're wrong about me. I'm scared. I've always been scared, and that's what it means to be human. Do you see? Do you see the difference? There's a relatability in the second way that I'm doing it. Instead of him shouting and ranting and whining, Superman isn't a whiny character. Superman has posture. I think what Gunn is attempting to do is give Superman a relatable personality, but you don't do it like that. And that's the problem. Now again, we will see the context of this movie, and that's important. These are just, out of context clips, so we've got to be fair. But some of these TV spots we're seeing are problematic to me, and they could damage the profitability of this movie. And I believe not anyone can make a Superman movie. Not anyone can write Doctor Who. These are characters you've got to love. You've got to understand. He claims he loves Superman. He doesn't. He is not a Superman man. He had to be bribed and convinced to write a Superman film by being given the Suicide Squad movie, and then he really needed to get his arm twisted to direct the movie. He even said when he announced he was directing it, he didn't know if he wanted to spend the next 2.5 years making a movie that he wasn't that invested in. He blatantly said that, and someone can look for that quote. He talks too much, by the way, doesn't he? He talks too much. And he gets himself in so much trouble. Now, the other problem with this whole, apparently they spent 200 million on the marketing. I don't know where this 200 million has gone. I think it's paying a lot of people to say a lot of nice things. The ads and all of this. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But 200 million on the budget. Another 225 million on the budget of the movie. So you've got a 200 million marketing budget and a 225 odd budget, production budget. That's over $400 million. That means this film has to double that amount of money, that expenditure, so they need to make at least $800 million. And from the way I see it right now, I can't see that happening. Now, apparently, because what's funny about the whole projections, everyone's coming out with different projections, 145 to 185. you know, 100 million, 90 million to 135, it's pretty obvious that the most this thing may open up at in the opening domestic weekend is around 90 million, right? Maybe with previews, I don't know. But right now, the way the projections are going, it's not looking good. And then you have to ask the question, why did the teaser have so many views? Were they genuine views? I think there was an intrigue, right, with the first teaser. I think the preview, when we see him in the fortress, dragged to the fortress, is cool. I don't have an issue with that. You know, we discussed that before. A lot of people had an issue with him screaming when the sun was healing him. Again, they were nitpicks of the highest level. Now, when we come to the official trailer, that's when the problems truly begin. Because that interview is revealed. And as I say, Superman can't be a whiny brat. He's being interviewed, right? It's kind of like, you know, he's trying to do an interview because there was an interview in Superman 78. And again, what's the difference between the interview in Superman 78 and in James Gunn's Superman, right? Now, Lois Lane is challenging Superman in James Gunn's movie. But there's a moment in the balcony scene, which is mostly quite romantic and bantery, but there's a moment when Lois Lane challenges Superman's ideals in Superman 78. So he tells her, why are you here? I'm here to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. She cynically says, you'll end up fighting every elected official. Does he scream? Does he shout? Well, that's what I'm here to do. No, he calmly says, I'm sure you don't really mean that, Lois. It's his naivety. He believes in the best in everyone. He doesn't want to believe that Lois Lane is so cynical, even though she is. This is why Lois Lane and Superman, and Clark if you like, go well together. She's a world-weary, cynical journalist, and he's this naive farm boy. And she's teaching him about the facts of life, if you like, to be a little bit less naive, and he's teaching her to look for the best in people. This is why they make such a great couple. So I, for the life of me, don't understand how Gunn has decided that Lois Lane challenging him means that Superman should go all defensive, shouty, whiny, and sulky. I think it's terrible. Again, the dialogue of that interview isn't a problem. You've had some problems lately. You've been challenged on social media. That nonsense about him saying Superman doesn't go on social media, Superman doesn't take selfies. Now that isn't good, because Gunn is trying to put a modern day perspective and sensibility to it. But the problem is, this is why I say that really Superman films should be set in the past, because Superman, in a way, is an outdated character. And putting him in the real world today, I think, look, it works in Superman 78. He comes in at the right time. The world is cynical right then, but they're also tired from Watergate and Vietnam. They need to see the brighter side of life. But these days, people are so cynical, so bitter, so angry, that they can't accept a character like Superman. But if you put him in the past, that's why Wonder Woman 2017 works, because it's set in the Great War, in the past. Captain America, the first Avenger, is set in the past. It's a period of peace. If you set that movie in the modern day from the beginning, it simply doesn't work, and the character isn't relatable. But once you set him up in the past and then he comes in the modern day, it works more. I mean, I would have gone really even more with Captain America in the modern world. I would have made him look at her and go, oh my God, look at this. This is so different, this technology and all of that. They didn't really do that. So I think it makes sense to have Superman set in the past. But they refuse to do that because they don't think it will be relatable. That's the problem with the modern day, attractive Doctor Who companion. Really, a Victorian character would be perfect to see the wonders of the modern world. That's why I was disappointed that they killed off Victorian Clara. I think that was a mistake by Stephen Moffat. So I think that's another problem with Superman. It's a problem launching the DCU with such a huge, outdated character, as much as I love him, and the pressure of having to succeed with a Superman movie is one thing. But one of the things I'm seeing from all these TV spots and trailers are the schoolboy errors that James Gunn is making.